once I got out of depression, 17, 18, I'm working a little part job now. My celly, he was my old celly that I mentioned for a while in there before he got transferred. He helped me, get on the good side of a few COs in there, and it's not many. It's very limited, so I think it was two maybe at this time. But he went on like they Black Tails, Freak Magazine, stuff like that, basically pornography. Um, Doing a late night shifts, stuff like that. I'm in the cell and they know I see this, stuff like that. So anyway, when I'm in the cell by myself now, on another lockdown, I spent 17, 18, all 8 years locked down on Red Lane. You know what I'm saying? I spent these birthdays. 17, it was like right after my 17th birthday, I want to say. Um, 18, I was on lockdown. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I got a job. I'm in these classes. I done completed breaking barriers. I done completed anger management. Still working on the pre GED. I took one little test, passed it. I'm in the pre GED class. Things, I'm moving better. I'm learning, soaking up everything around me about what I got to do. Stay out the way, remain, militant and in survival mode at the same time. Because I'm not gonna be a victim in there. Like, no, I can't let one of these grown men like turn me into like no. So I'm gonna stay out the way. No gambling. I'm not playing basketball. Staying out, trying to keep myself out of the way of fights and just any problems. Staying out the officer's way. Like I didn't even want to ask for a request for him. Like I didn't even want to talk to him unless I really had to. Counselors, they did nothing. They'll come around, do your annual review, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months past due. Like it's not a support system how a person think a counselor is. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we accept responsibility for our actions we hear, but they preach the necessary tools and stuff. No, as a juvenile all the way up to 18, I did not have the proper tools that I needed for my mental health, my sanity, my education, nothing. But I had the right tools around me as far as the men around me. But as far as staff wasn't encouraging. Hey, you should go to school. You should. No, it was none of that. But yeah. So I'm just staying out the way, head down. It's still kind of early in my bid. Letters coming here and there, not often. From loved ones selling dreams. It's good for the moment. You spending time missing part, right, throwing on your music, writing these letters and stuff, and you might get a response once, twice if you lucky. It's over. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the lows and the highs. But yeah, counselors, you couldn't go to them with no issues or problems. It wasn't happening. They come see you when they want to come see you. That's just what it is. You send a request form, you be lucky to get one to come speak to you. Most of the times they'll try to send an officer at your door. Like, what's the request form you sent? Like, I sent it to the officer. So I learned early just complaint forms, grievances. I didn't fill out none of them for what wasn't worth later getting your jaw broke or whatever. They will retaliate, and they did retaliate up there. So and the thing up there, I don't know if people knew or not back then, it was 1,000 officers up there that worked multiple different shifts, the same shifts, didn't matter, with the same last name. So your grievances and all that go unheard. Nurses used to watch dudes get beat up, bloodied up. They husband, one of the officers, whose side you think they're gonna take? So I seen a lot of that and a lot of covering up. When I knew I had to stay mentally strong, I knew I had to do what I had to do and play that game to get out of there. Not get out of there, because like I say, getting out of prison was a far thought. Like you daydream, like, oh, if I was home, I'd do this, or when I get out, I'm gonna do this. But really, it's like you in there with life, like. So I put my mind on, you know what, I gotta survive, make my mark in here. Soaked up all the information I needed on, what to do when I get to my level down. And that's what I set my sights on. Getting my level down, They was doing these mass transfers, still lasted a long time because of lockdowns and because of weather. Also up there, the snow heavy transportation stopped. So, it was a long transferring process. My cellie ended up being an old correctional officer that came in there. That's how I ended up on lockdown once again, dealing with this whole new, thing of lockdown again by myself. Um, he worked at Nottaway Correctional Center. Ended up on the wrong side of the law in there with us. Old convicts made him out, and he felt the energy, felt the heat. He lasted in my cell maybe 2 days, and that's because, like I say, he won't coming out that often and stuff. Won't go in the child that often. Ended up going to child. He didn't return. He checked in to protect the custody. Didn't come back. So I was in there by myself. 18th birthday came. I ordered Black and Miles. I ordered I ordered all the tobacco I possibly could. I sat in there smoking, chain smoking. I didn't have to hide it no more. Many officers knew I was doing it. They didn't care, man. They could care less, honestly. But I never tried to order it. Then, when they gave me that stern warning, I never tried to order it. I wasn't even gonna play them games, end up in segregation. Back then, until I was able to buy it. When I was able to buy it, that's what I did on lockdown. My journals, writing in my journal helped me get through it. Like I say, with the classes that I watched, knowing that I had to get this GED, I was on it back then. I was young. I was started back working out, doing push-ups in the cell on lockdown. Like, I was in mode, visualizing getting to a lower prison level. Making money, getting a cell phone. I visualized eating street food, like stuff like that, because of what I heard. And these dudes started to trust me. They had been there and done that. They were showing me letters from ex-correctional officers. Some of them were still active working. So I knew they weren't lying. A lot of dudes just talk. And even back then, it's early 2000s, it wasn't that popular. And they was already having cell phones, pounds of marijuana on the yard. Like, that's just what it is. So that's what I started getting into. Education, working out, like just doing what I got to do, moving how I'm supposed to move, moving accordingly, like setting my sights. That's why I set my sights, and that gave me a little hope. It gave me a glimmer of hope, man, getting to a new prison.